Something that we're going to reinforce and emphasize moving forward is a common saying in lacrosse, which is space favors the offense. When you watch lacrosse on TV or on YouTube, you're going to notice that these players who play at a very high level are operating with the ball in space, typically either closer to the midfield line or one of the sidelines or the end line behind the goal. What we should have noticed from seeing our first weekend of games this past Saturday was that, one, the teams that moved the ball more were more successful, almost consistently across the age groups. But two, too many times we had a player with the ball wanting to force the ball to the middle of the field, walking through one defender or two or even three, and then putting themselves in a position where the ball's getting taken from them, or they're maybe risking stepping into the crease. So something you'll hear me say often is take the ball behind the goal. You have more options behind the goal. When I talk about options, I just mean when you have space around you, you are more effective as an offensive player. This concept takes a little bit of uncoaching in a way, because kids naturally think the goal is in the middle of the field. I want to put the ball in the goal. If I have the ball, I need to get to the middle of the field. And that is true. It's easier to score if you're in the middle of the field because that's where the goal is. But thinking about something I say often about defense, I ask players what they're defending, and they say they're defending the goal. So, given that they're defending the goal, if you kind of just rush into the goal without a plan or kind of just abandoning everything else and just going in, then you're running into defenders. You're getting lower quality shots. You're more likely to get the ball taken from you or to throw a bad shot or step in the crease. So most of the drills that we're going to do now that I think overall we have a pretty good skill set across all of the players in our league as far as catching and throwing, scooping ground balls. I think overall we're pretty set as far as those skills go. But the main thing that's going to tie that all together and just make it so that the kids get more out of the games and out of the playing lacrosse in general is getting the ball in space, picking the ball up, and then instead of going to the middle of the field and splitting a double team, taking it out to the sideline, taking it to a corner of the field, and really giving yourself room to operate and options, and also room for your teammates to position themselves off ball. So you'll see, again, these are just some clips from the Professional Lacrosse League or from college, from women's lacrosse. A lot of these things will look different because these older players at this higher level have more players on the field. They use equipment that we don't use, XYZ. But you'll notice these are the best players. So you think the best players could just get to the middle of the field and just score. So why are they out in space? And it's because, if you're skilled at dodging, if you're very agile, if you have speed, those are skills that you can't use when you're putting yourself in a phone booth right in front of the goal. So ideally we want to get into space, take the ball somewhere where it's safe, like near the sideline or near the midfield line or at X behind the goal or just in any of the corners, kind of in the margins of the field, and then take the ball from the exterior to the interior of the field. That's really when we're going to be playing lacrosse and executing an offense. So it's not just getting the ball and then just running down the middle to right in front of the goal, but it's getting the ball and taking it out, pulling that defensive attention to the exterior of the field. That is what opens up space behind those defenders on the interior. We saw the older players kind of understand this a little bit easier this past Saturday, which is understandable because older players just have a little bit more sports experience. But this is a skill that's going to help you outside of lacrosse. In basketball, if you try to dribble the ball into the key through 5 people, it's just not going to work, at least not consistently. Same with football. If you have the ball and you have 2 defenders who are trying to tackle you or pull your flag, take the ball away from you, you want to get outside of those 2 defenders. You don't want to carry the ball through them, especially if you have a choice. Same with soccer, right? You don't want to push the ball in between 2 defenders. You would rather take it outside. So space favors the offense. This isn't just a lacrosse thing. This is sports in general. If you are in space and it's ball carrier and then defender and then a bunch of space and then the goal, then you have room to operate. You can move that defender around. You can get to the goal. You can maybe draw another defender. Now your teammates are open. Now we're moving the ball and really playing some offense. So just food for thought. This is something that was going to be emphasized a bit more as we move forward through the rest of the season. Space favors the offense.